How did it feel to be back on a Star Wars set after 30 years?
You know, it might have felt silly to be going back and playing a character that you played 40 years ago, but it didn't. And it didn't because there was a clear job to be done. There was an extension of the character that I thought was interesting and would take the audience to a new place. There was a development in the character that doesn't play out on screen, but is referred to in a way that the audience understands the circumstances that have been part of Han's history between the last of the first three and the events that we're following in this one. And those circumstances in his life have created changes which are going to motivate him in different ways than we might expect. So the character has some surprise to him at this point.
Tell us about the Millennium Falcon. Is it the same as you left it?
The Millennium Falcon, it's funny because the set had actually been dismantled after the first film. It had not been predicted that the film would be such a success as it was, and so that they had to recreate it from pictures. And they did a beautiful job of rebuilding it, and it was it was indistinguishable to me from the original set. So it was nice to be back.
This is the first time you've worked with JJ Abrams as a director. What is his style, and what does he bring to the filmmaking process?
His style is, intense preparation, great enthusiasm, willingness, and gives himself the freedom to make changes in his expectations according to what he sees on the set. He's collaborative. He is altogether a consummate master of his craft.
Last question. What do you think of the newcomers to the franchise, John Boyega and Daisy Ridley?
I think the choices that were made to cast these parts are wonderful choices. Daisy and John are wonderful in their parts. They're very interesting people, both of them, and I think they're going to have an unbelievable future.
Well, let's see, revisiting Leia after all these years, I didn't stop being Leia. I mean, it doesn't go away. It's like a persistent rash. No. No, but I have stayed in character for the last 35 years. I count it from the last movie, but if we count it from the first, it's 40 years. But people identify me with her so much, and I am the custodian of Princess Leia. So I try to keep her fit and ready for action.
Leia is a general in this film. Do you play her any differently because of that new title?
I wear general outfits. I know I haven't changed it because I'm general, because they didn't tell me I was general until it was too late. And then I was suddenly general. And what I have said, though, is in terms of being general or princess, even though princess is kind of Nelly, and it's something that you inherit, and so it's general is something that generally you have to rise through the ranks and so forth. Princess Leia, theoretically, a princess would get better clothes. Not good hairstyles, but better clothes. And even then, but still, general clothing, you've seen them, and those hats. If I think that my hair was bad, imagine wearing one of those iron hats.
Is there a trait that Leia possesses that you would want to have, and why?
She's very focused, very disciplined, very passionate, committed to what she does, and I have those qualities, but not to, don't laugh at me. I do have those qualities, but not, I don't have control over them, and I don't have them as intensely. And she's very organized, and I would say maybe I'm not organized.
Why do you think that Leia has endured as a role model for girls and women over the years?
Because she was really the first female character that, and it's not, they're not, the characters in Star Wars are very human. They're not superpower. I mean, yes, we have the Force, but you know, if you are very good and you work very hard, Santa will bring you the Force for Christmas. No. But it doesn't seem that out of reach. You know, they're characters you can identify with, and they're characters where you feel like, well, if they can do that, you know, I could do that. So, you know, that she can do what she can do, and she can also do what she can't do.
What was the best part of being on set with your castmates again?
Well, it was just amazing to be there. I'm older now, and I could pay attention, because when you're young and you're doing those things, you're just moving through your life like, you know, you'll be able to reflect on it. They don't tell you that you lose your memory and that your ability to reflect is impacted by memory loss severely. So I can pay attention this time, and I can also watch these younger people, you know, experience it, and I wonder if it was like that for me, and I suspect it was, and so I can retrieve my memory through them. And also my daughter has a little part in it, so that was fun to have my daughter around.
What can your fans expect when they see this movie?
I think they'll love it. They go in to love it. So one of two things can happen with something like that. You're going to be disappointed no matter what, you know, because you're going in thinking it'll be some life-changing experience. But if you go into the movie just to, you know, reacquaint yourself with some old friends and get into these situations that were incredibly exciting and now familiar, they'll just have a really good time. I think because it'll be reminiscent and because it's new and we have some new folks, and I think they'll love it.
And lastly, how was it working with JJ Abrams?
JJ's awesome. He has incredible, infectious enthusiasm. He's a huge fan of Star Wars, and which was, I think, daunting for him because he grew up watching the movies as well, so how are you going to... So he had that kind of pressure, but you never saw that. And he's very confident, and he learned everyone's name. I'm not kidding. Even my dog's name, but then my dog is very famous. He just is, he has high verbal acuity, which I appreciate enormously. He's fun to listen to. And even though he's younger than I am by like an hour, that feels more like 10 years, he has a lot of the same sort of media references. And he knows movies, he knows music, he knows, and he loves his job. So it's a pleasure to watch anybody enjoy what they're doing.
When did it hit you that you were actually directing this movie? Like, what was the moment?
There were so many baby steps, so it's hard to figure out where, you know, there wasn't one sort of threshold crossing. It was a lot of decisions and moments and stages along the way. But I guess the honest answer is when we were in Abu Dhabi and all the prep had come to this moment when the crew was all there, the cameras and the lights were all set up. Daisy Ridley was sitting down for her first take, and I thought, oh, here we are. We figured out what the set would look like, what her speeder would be like, what her hair design was going to be, how the wardrobe was going to look, where and when and how and what lens we were going to shoot this moment. And all the prep brought us to this moment where we're actually doing it. And I guess it was that first day of actually filming in 125-degree heat in the middle of this desert that really felt like we were making a movie.
As a lifelong fan, what were the Star Wars elements that you needed to make sure you had in this film to satisfy the fans?
Well, Larry Kasdan and I, when we started talking about what we wanted to do in this movie, it was more about a feeling than any kind of list of things that we wanted to include. But among those things in that feeling were elements of light versus dark, elements of either action or certain specific things, whether it's ships or locations, that felt like the spirit of Star Wars. And people have been trying to copy what George Lucas created since he created Star Wars. And we were lucky enough to actually inherit Star Wars, for this to be the next chapter of the saga, which meant we were allowed to actually say, well, I'd love to see lightsabers, and how can you make a Star Wars movie without lightsabers? What's a Star Wars movie without an X-Wing or a TIE fighter? Or a Star Destroyer, and you can sort of list these things. And someone I work with was saying how Star Wars is a bit like a Western, where there are certain tenets. It's a different story, a different world, a different moral, a different narrative, but it's probably gonna have horses. It's probably gonna have cowboys. There might be some Native Americans. It's probably gonna be a saloon. There might be a bank. There might be a stagecoach. There are just certain things, good guys, bad guys. It was a little bit like needing to know, okay, if we're telling a story in this genre, in this Star Wars genre, what are certain things that feel like essential elements? But once we had those things, everything was serving the story. Who are these new characters? Who are we meeting we've never met before? What is their story? Why is it relevant? Why are we telling a story at all in this universe? And that was, I think, the most fun we had.
How did you go about ensuring that the movie would be relatable to a whole new generation of fans?
Well, the key to this movie was not any of the accoutrements or props or ships or locales. It was all about who is the story about. And when Larry Kasdan and I began writing the script, that was the fundamental question. We would make ourselves tell each other the story. This is a story about a young woman this story about a young man who, tell the story. And it's amazing how that is sort of a litmus test for something that either works or not, because you can't say it's a story about really cool gadgets. It's a story about spaceships that fly. None of that will work. It's a story about someone who, it's about the heart and soul of the characters. So that was the thing that we focused on, trying to figure out what makes the story compelling for us, and hope that if we can look each other in the eye and say, I love that, that really works, that's getting me excited, then other people might feel it too.
Talk about the importance of music in this film.
When I look at the list of things, let me start over. When I think of the things that George Lucas did and got right, got perfectly in that first movie, it is so long and stunning to think of those things. But nothing on that list is more important than the music. That's not to say there aren't things that are as important, but there's nothing more important. And what John Williams did, his gift to Star Wars and to fans, it is, you can't oversell the importance of what he does. And to know that he was coming back to create a score for The Force Awakens was as exciting as any other aspect of working on this movie from the very first discussion I had with Kathleen Kennedy. To be on the stage when John Williams conducted the main titles, which of course is familiar to everyone who knows Star Wars, that was incredible. But then to watch him conduct and hear the orchestra play so beautifully the end titles, the almost 8-minute long end titles, what was incredible about that was it starts the way it always starts, but then it dovetails into these themes Rey's theme, the Resistance theme, Kylo Ren's theme, these incredible cues that we had become accustomed to over the months of doing post-production that were so beautiful and soaring and emotional and powerful and somehow perfectly integrated with the score and the music that we know, the Force theme, Leia's theme. He just, like no one else, is able to take what we know and do something brand new and somehow allow them to coexist. And I realized that's what we were trying to do all along.